Hey folks, how you doing out there? Wow, I was talking fine and I just had a cough. Welcome to a Drink and a Link info review. I'm kind of launching a new series, partially because I'm still kind of running around trying to figure out what I'm going to do next, and I'm kind of in between my, with semi mid-November. We're looking towards the end of the year, and looking towards that stuff because December I'm going to start talking about some of the stuff over the year and all that. So in between that, up until maybe Thanksgiving, we're going to do what I'm calling the Who series. You like that, Michelle?
Okay.
And the Who series is basically, well, there's one thing. There's a certain person in my family who says this to me about 20 to 30 times a day. And I'm starting to laugh at it so much. But the other thing is, who is my kind of, I'm going to talk a little bit about some whiskeys that maybe I haven't talked about a little bit, and maybe you haven't heard of, or maybe you've just seen the name and all that kind of stuff. The other thing is as we acquire more whiskey here at Drink and a Wink, I like to put the new ones or the fancier ones and all that kind of stuff. The top of mind, front of rack. Boy, you could write that one on a rock or a rack. All right, and yeah, we just like. I'm sorry, I accidentally touched something there. So yeah, there are some whiskeys that are kind of in the back that I'm also, I'm trying to make some room, so I'm looking to polish off. And also, so I'm kind of looking looking in the back of the rack, looking for some ones that I haven't talked about in a while, or maybe very little, and also kind of want to acquaint myself with. Right, Michelle?
Sure.
Do you want to try any of this?
What is it?
It's the Old Elk Wheated Bourbon.
No.
No?
No.
It's a wheated bourbon.
Oh,
It's only 51% corn. Oh, okay. You can drink mine.
don't hate it.
Okay, there you go. Anyway, today we're going to talk about Old Elk. I was really not aware of Old Elk until I actually saw. Well, I had seen it in stores a little bit, but then I don't even remember what year it is. I don't even know if there's this age stamp on this. But quite a few years ago, I believe this is even before COVID. I Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I saw on our store here in town, one of the best whiskey stores and liquor. Yeah, it's more than just a liquor store. It's a nice place called Warehouse Liquors. I saw that they had some of these Old Elk. I guess they were barrel selects for them, and they had this wheated bourbon. So I did a little reading and checking into it, and it turned out, yeah, I think it was interested. So we bought it, and I really do like it. Let me tell you a little bit of Old Elk. Old Elk is a relatively new distillery. They are still in Fort Collins, Colorado. Okay, and it is operated by this master blender. It was kind of created named Greg Metz. Okay, he's got his logo on here. He's still connected with the company. Greg Metz was a master distiller for MGP, which is the Indiana distilling group that does lots of distilling for other companies. They're the biggest sourcer of whiskey for companies that source their whiskey and then do some aging. We've talked about that a long time ago, but he was a master distiller there, I guess, for 30, 40 years, something like that. So then he moved over and he started this Old Elk company. I don't have a lot to tell you about it, other than that they have recently been bought by an Ohio company, and don't know that like many of these smaller distilleries and projects right now in the United States. I don't want to say it's fallen on hard times. It hasn't been popular in many of these kind of second tier, maybe if not craft distillers, just small distillery. Not owned by big companies, are having to do some cutbacks and do things like that. I don't want to get over my skis, but I think they did have a visitor center maybe and a bar for a while, and that might be closed down temporarily. Don't really know, but they're still producing whiskey, and for my money, I remember it to be pretty good. A couple other things about this one. This one is a wheated bourbon, and they have a straight wheated bourbon in their core range. The core range one is a mash bill of 51% corn, 45% wheat, and 4% malted barley. So when I say wheated bourbon here, this is a lot of wheat in this. Okay, that's just 51% core, just barely enough to make it a bourbon. Let's see. This one, their core range one, has been aged 5 years. And the other thing I wanted to note is I remember reading about this and kind of being fascinated by it. When they are proofing it down, they do something, a process that I don't know if others do it. I don't know. I can't name another one, but they do a process called the slow cut process. And again, I'm just reading this off their website. Essentially, what happens is when we proof down whiskey, well, I don't do that ever. Well, actually, we kind of do. If you pour water into your glass to kind of water it down, you are downproofing or proofing down the whiskey. So when we are downproofing whiskey, okay, they're going to add water. And I guess when you do this, let's say this is starting off at 65% ABV out of the barrel, and you do this, if you do this in a fast manner and you're adding water, the temperatures can get hot, and yeah, that's the one way to do it. So what they do here is they do called the slow cut process, where they're trying to keep the temperatures down by only adding a small amount of the water, of water each day to proof their whatever they have, their vat or whatever they have it stored in, not by the barrel unless it's a single barrel, and they slowly proof it down, keeping the temperatures down. They think this is a better process. It takes weeks to proof down versus doing it just in one day, like most companies would do, most distilleries would do, and it costs a little more because of that, because of the time. But they feel it's a great process. The other thing I wanted to say is, yes, there is a 92 proof floating around in their core range. I have also seen barrel selects that are just at 50 or 100 proof. Okay, this one was a special bottling, and it has these wheated bourbon warehouse liquor barrel 574 on it. So this was obviously a pick for warehouse liquors, and also this is a little higher at 57.7 ABV or 115.4 proof. The only other thing is they had this really good kind of wood and cork simulation up here on the, not simulation, it was wood and cork. It was really cool. It wasn't it looks like a big nice, like something just fell out of a tree and they put a cork on top. Unfortunately, that cork started to kind of wear out a little bit. Maybe in between drinks I should have given the cork a little bit of, anyway, it went away. So this is not the cork that comes with it. This is a cork of a whiskey that not so great, but the cork is good. The cork was better than the whiskey, so that's what's going on here. Again, as I said, this is a 51% corn, 45% wheat, and just 4 malted barley mash bill. On the nose, yeah, you can tell right away this is a wheated bourbon because it has that. It just has a wheat. That doesn't make any sense. Let me put it this way. When I smell wheated bourbons, we don't get that corn sweetness. We get a different kind of sweetness, like it's just like the difference between just kind of putting your nose into a corn stalk and smelling it, and putting your nose into something else like a heather or something of that nature. I haven't done it with wheat. Maybe that's what I'm smelling. But it just has like a drier, earthier note, and just if you think of corn silk that has a yellow color, and then you think of something else that is more white. It just has a more like white heather. Meadow note versus a cornfield. That's probably the best way to say it. It has more of a meadow note. Of course, there are some typical bourbon flavors. I'm getting a lot of caramel, a little bit of, I guess maybe there, I'm getting a little bit of floral in here. In terms of a creaminess, it's more of a vanilla than chocolate or anything like that. Okay, and I've been drinking a lot of scotch lately, So this is a nice return to bourbon. Uh, all right, I'm gonna taste it. There is a They state a clove note. There is a heavy clove note on the verge of almost being just a hint, getting towards actually wintergreen and and evergreen for that matter. There is your typical toffee, vanilla flavors. I don't know if it's the proof or whatever, but I'm getting a bit of a charred cask note, and this is not for the faint of heart. It's a bold flavor. Again, a lot of times that kind of darker char cask note can kind of be more evident if they don't proof it down a whole lot. Whereas for my money, sweet notes, this is just me, this could be completely off. Let's say we take a bourbon and we do cask strength and we do and then we proof it down to 45. Okay, for me, I mean, there's a couple of them that I've tried that are doing that. Weller is a good example. Okay, you have special Weller Reserve, it's going to be at 40. Weller 101 is obviously at 50.5% ABV. The sweetness on both of those kind of, to me, to my tongue, are the same. But the difference is it seems like the watering down takes out some of the other effects of the wheated aspects and takes a little bit of the earthiness out, and you get kind of like not as much of a luxurious feeling. So to me, when they proof down something down to 45 or below, in some cases, it doesn't really affect the sweet notes of what is a bourbon, because it's still 51% corn. For me, it seems like it gets any kind of darkness and earthiness and richness that kind of gets sucked out. That is not the case here. This is a very balanced bourbon, but if you're used to the cherry hints and cherry notes that you're going to get a little bit dark cherry in the Old Forester products or the Woodford Reserve, although we don't really talk about those here these days. That kind of note, or even sometimes I get a little bit of dark cherry in the non-wheated Buffalo Trace stuff, like Buffalo Trace, and this is not the same. This is a lot of yeah. There's a little popcorn butter flavor here, toasted nuts. It's a very interesting mix. Little bit of a hint of leathery cigar tobacco kind of stuff. I'm really enjoying this. There was a while that wheated bourbons were kind of off my radar a little bit. I think it was just because I didn't seem like I was really interested in buying more good ones. I had most of the varieties of Wellers. I still have two of them. I have the Special Reserve and the Antique 101. I've had the Full Proof. I've had the other. So that, the Standard Maker's Mark, and then this 45, was that what it was? Or 46? Whatever their other standard one. I think I even had a calf strength one for a little while. Liking it, but wheated whiskey, or wheated bourbon was kind of off my radar a little bit. Coming back to this is really nice. This has a really interesting, there's some butterscotch in there too. But yeah, there's just a very there's a bit of earth on this. In terms of mouthfeel, it's quite thick. Finish does thin out a little bit, and on the finish, That's where we're getting the most hint of whatever this was aged, I mean, whatever we're getting that, like, no, I shouldn't say whatever was aged, and it's going to be new American oak, but whatever they did in terms of toasting and or charring, I don't know, but I'm getting that it seemed like there's a lot of kind of burnt wood sugar notes towards the end. I'm really enjoying this one. Like I said, this one was more money even back then because it was a special barrel select, I would guess, with a higher proof. Right now, I think the 100 proof of this, I think right now is up around 60 or 70. I want to let me check that because I don't want to speak out of turn and give any kind of. I guess the one thing that's a little confusing is that they've over the years here, Old Elk has kind of changed their core range, and sometimes they just have the regular wheated bourbon out. They also have just standard higher corn bourbon, probably with some rye in there, or not probably. I know there is. Just looking at the Binny's website right now as I talk to you, if you type in Old Elk, you're going to get 16 different varieties. The This one is not available. They have a double wheat that's about $100, but the straight wheat, which is bottled at 50%, is right now at $70. I'll leave that up to you if you want to try it. I'm just saying that I do enjoy this one, and this is in my first of my Who series. Like I said, I forgot about it. I'm going to pour a little bit more tonight and enjoy this one. Check them out. I will put the link to their website down here, and yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised by this one. Different from your standard bourbon profile, but not so different that it's like out there, and I don't know what I'm drinking. Familiar flavors done in an interesting way, and I don't know if anyone else does this slow cut stuff, and obviously this wasn't cut that much at 57%. But whatever they're doing here, really like it. It's good stuff. They know how to make whiskey, right? I mean, that's for sure. In terms of what's still being sourced versus what they're distilling, I don't know. And like I said, this bottle has got to be, I think, at least 5 years old, if not more. So, that kind of changes too. So, do keep that in mind sometimes, just in general. And I see this more with bourbon because, well, they do more with the source, but rye stuff too. Some companies when they come on board, they don't have enough stock to have aged stuff to put into a bottle. So they will some companies will go out and source whiskey in the beginning, and then when they do have some stuff come online, they will maybe at first make a combo of the two because they don't have enough yet to make a full bottling. High West is a great example. High West started with they got some of their distillate in there when they got, I think, to 2 years or something, and they used MGP product. Now, as High West has become more popular and also been around longer, now more of their products are just being their distillate versus using sourced. Some companies just put a name on something and they're using sourced whiskey all the time. Good example of that one would be the Jepson, the company that makes Malort. I don't really have a whole lot of. Is that Jepson? I don't remember. It doesn't matter because it's completely sourced MGP whiskey that's not going to taste any different from any other company that sources that because they don't do anything. They're just taking aged whiskey. Going on a rant. That's it. So I wanted to clear that up a little bit if you don't understand that. When you're looking at bourbon and rye, American whiskey in particular, and it's not single malt because that's a different story. You're looking at bourbons and ryes. Take a look in the back, and again, I've gone through this a number of times, but if you look at the back and it says distilled by X company, okay, then you know that company is distilling their own product and putting in there. In this case, back then, it says bottled by the Old Elk Distillery, distilled in Indiana. So if you see that Indiana, like I said, that is the guy was working at that MGP plant for a long time. So he knows what's coming from there, and he's doing good work with it, or he did good work with it. They might be distilling more on their own. But anyway, check your bottles again, and before you get really excited about something and going, this is the best new distillery around, check the back of the bottle and see where it was, distilled. There are certain companies here in Chicago that claim to be, distilleries. Some of them are distilling all their own product, and some of them are just sourcing their whiskey and putting a name on it. So, not there's anything wrong with that. We've enjoyed that. Barrel whiskey. They're just a sourced whiskey company. They're a producer, and they do wonderful stuff with it. So, but you should know what you're drinking, right? Right, Michelle? Know what you're drinking. And that call ties around to this Who series. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to talk about next. Who? I'm not even convinced that this is a great series idea. But while I look at the back of my rack and find some things I haven't talked about for a while, I hope you'll join me and check it out. And like I said, I'll give it the Old Elk Wheated Bourbon like a slight thumbs up. Recommend it. Maybe not at the price tag that I'm seeing listed, but it's definitely a high quality product, and it's tasty. I like it. Okay, I might get another one. Yeah. Old Elk. Who?